Hey everyone, it's time for another live look at the astrology. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is your look at the astrology of March 21st through 27th, 2022. So, happy Aries season. So, here we are. It's the beginning of the astrological new year. Last time we spoke, we were in that last week of Pisces season. As much as I love Pisces, it is that time about endings and unraveling and reflection, and in a way, that recuperation that we need after the end of a long journey. And if Pisces season is about water, and Pisces as the last sign is the almost like amniotic waters that prepare us for the next life, then Aries season is the rebirth. So here we are, it's a new season. We've got some interesting astrology to talk about. I guess, this time of year, the sun's out, at least here in the New York City area, but if you are watching live, let me know where you're watching from. It's always nice to kind of see where people are watching from. I'm kind of a nerd for travel. Love travel, even though it's been a little bit weird the past couple of years. But anyway, yes, so we got lots to talk about, but yeah, let me just kind of quickly reintroduce who I am. My name is Katie Sweetman, and I'm an astrologer and psychic medium here in the New York City area, and we gather every week to look at the astrology, and I have a little bit of a different perspective, maybe not a unique perspective, but a different perspective. And you've heard me talk about it every week, or almost every week, that the astrology is 50%. You are the other 50%. So how do we work with this time? And that's really what astrology is. It's time, it's the energy of time, it's symbolic time, it's metaphoric time. And here we are in a season that's so much about renewal, rebirth, new beginnings. The sun has left the last sign of the zodiac and it's gone into the first sign. So we can all, at least on a cultural level, appreciate that. And I admit that astrology is a bit northern hemisphere biased. So for our friends that are watching in the southern hemisphere, I know that's the start of autumn for you. But here in the northern hemisphere, this is the start of spring. And culturally, whether it's our different traditions or even different religious traditions, this is the time of year where we celebrate the rebirth of life, the fertility. It is no mistake that we are all painting eggs and having Easter or bunnies running around and green grass, because we are celebrating on at least a symbolic level the return of life. But yeah, I talk about how the astrology is 50% and you are the other 50%. So how are you using this energy of renewal and new beginnings, and what part of your astrology is this new beginning showing up in? And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that you're not just your sun sign. You are all 12 signs of the zodiac, believe it or not. And you have that energy inside of you. It's also in your chart. And then of course your sun is in a particular sign of the zodiac. So if you are an Aries, happy birthday, Aries. It's your season again. But you have Aries somewhere in your astrology, and that area of your life is naturally about leadership, courage, bravery, taking action. And this is the part where, it's the us part. It's the other 50%. It's where we have to see where we might struggle with moving forward or having courage and bravery, or where we maybe feel stuck, for example, as we move into Aries season. And that's not a fate, of course, but it's how do we shift something inside of us so that we can utilize this energy in the most productive and helpful way. I see some familiar faces on the live chat. Hello, nice to see you again. I know some of you are my clients. Yes, when we work together, this is where I look at the natal chart, and that's not something that we talk about in these lives. We're looking more at the sort of the macro astrological weather. Can't speak English. But how is this unfolding in your own chart? But more importantly, what is your blueprint? And that's the thing that I absolutely love about astrology, is that everybody has their own blueprint. It's not a fate. It is a structure. It is something that you inhabit your whole life. And this structure, this birth chart, it has directions. It has like 4 directions. It has goals. It has areas where you need to work to overcome, or sometimes work really hard to overcome. But I do believe that we don't come into this life to fail. I think there's always a pathway to success, but there's the part that astrology can support us with, and then there's the part that's on us. And, we do have that really big push of energy as we go into this week. I'll talk all about Aries season in a moment. And speaking of which, I'm going to do my first astrology new moon circle. There's a Aries new moon on April 1st. My virtual new moon circle will be on March 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can still sign up even if you cannot attend live. But in this circle, in this virtual event, we are going to connect with the energies of Aries and the Aries inside of us, the Aries in our chart, and sort of bring that energy of new beginning into our lives more consciously. And also think about what we want to use this energy for and kind of create a sense of sacred space. So the details right now as I record this, they're in the show notes. I'm going to put it on my website shortly. You're going to see a lot more talk about it, but I know a couple people have already signed up for it, but I think it would be really cool to do this work together with the energies of Aries, and then of course we'll do Taurus, etc. But let's talk about the astrology this week. So the first thing, and I mentioned this a little bit already, it's Aries season. So we started, the sun went into the zodiac, sun went into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, yesterday, March 20th. So that's the first day of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the first day of autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. But like I said, astrology is very Northern Hemisphere biased, and we are in that time of renewal and new beginnings. Aries is ruled by Mars, and that's maybe for some a little bit of a technical point, but you have to understand that astrology has something called rulerships. Very simply, each sign of the zodiac has a boss. Who's the boss of Aries? It's Mars. And where is Mars currently located? It's in Aquarius. And there's a lot of moving parts in astrology, and something that I even mentioned I think last week, it's that we had a lot of planets in Pisces, we had a few planets in Aquarius, and everything was sort of bunched up in one part of the sky. So we're starting to get some fresh air, some new beginnings after all that energy in Pisces. But the energy of Aries is about new beginnings, courage, bravery, moving forward, taking action, that sort of motivation and inspiration to do something. It's a sign of leadership. It is the I. It is the I to Libras, the opposite sign, we. So this is a sign that really asks us to stand on our own 2 feet, to take initiative, to find our power and our drive. And where are we focusing that energy on? Well, we're focusing on Aquarius, which is where Mars is presently located. So as we go into this week, we feel this rush of new energy, but there's a little bit of a twist. Mars, it's in Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed sign. You maybe heard me say week in and week out that the fixed signs right now are not so fixed. So the fixed energy in astrology is all about keeping things stable and grounded and fixed. Aries, however, is not a fixed sign. It's a cardinal sign. It aligns with the 4 directions, whether it's the equinox, Aries, Libra, or the solstice, Capricorn, and Cancer. So it is about new beginnings, new seasons, but the energy is pointed over towards a fixed sign. So we're looking at something that is sort of fixed. And what is Aquarius? And the relationship between Aries and Aquarius is about community and friendship and our social connections. It's about these bigger issues like social causes, humanity, those humanitarian issues. It's also about the future. And so as we go forward into Aries season this week, it's all about really aligning ourselves with some sort of greater goal. This could be a goal that has a larger, let's say, societal connection. Maybe we want to get more involved in our community. Maybe we want to get involved in a group, or we feel really inspired to do something that helps other people on a larger level. But this is a week that's asking us to think about our futures. And Mars is presently in the same sign as Saturn. And Mars and Saturn are actually going to come together. This is beginning of April. But we have to think about things a little bit seriously. We can't, it sort of tempers a little bit of that heady rush of Aries season. It says that with the energies of Saturn, we have to be a little bit more measured. We have to plan. We have to think about the future. We have to, whatever actions we want to rush into impulsively, we have to actually take the necessary steps. But here's the part about the fixed energy. In 2022 and 2021, we had these push and pull going on between Aquarius, where Saturn is, and where Uranus is in Taurus. So tomorrow, March 22nd, Mars is going to make something called a square to Uranus. And this doesn't happen very often. It happens twice in a 2-year period, but they're points of friction. And it's saying that as we go forward, we have to really go towards the things that are helping us to break out of some sort of old pattern, something that limits us, something that prevents us from really being ourselves. I say that because Uranus has this energy within it where it really demands radical authenticity. But the shaking and shifting over the past few years, ever since Uranus went into Taurus in May 2018, March 2019, it says that the things that we thought were rock solid and rooted and grounded and never going to change, maybe they've changed over the past couple of years. And if you are a fixed sign, which means if you are a Taurus or a Leo or a Scorpio or an Aquarius, it's very possible that your life has shifted in maybe even a dramatic way in the past couple of years. Things don't look the same. And maybe even if you're not those signs, you have that energy somewhere in your astrology chart, which we'll go into in just a moment. So this week, it's like we have like a this energy of butting heads. It's like we want to rush forward, but Saturn's saying, wait, hang on, do the legwork, do the planning. But Uranus is saying, no, I've got to break free. I can't stay stuck anymore. And there's a push and pull and tension. And something that when we go through the 12 signs in a moment, I want you to think, and you've heard me talk about this over the past few years, like what was going on in your life, May, June 2018, what was going on in your life, March, April 2019, because that was the start of something. And whatever seeds that were planted then, they are in a way coming to fruition in 2022. And that's another conversation for when we get more into April. But something in your life began to shift then, even if it wasn't so obvious. But for some people, I say those dates and they're like, yes. The story that I tell over and over again is that I had a 20-year background in IT. Yes, believe it or not, I was in IT, graphic design. It wasn't what I was put on this earth to do. Here comes Uranus and Taurus. I'm a Scorpio. It was like, wow, why am I feeling all this shifting and moving? My son's at the end of Scorpio. It was really kind of the fact that this could have some movement going on early in the transit really even surprised me as an astrologer, but it shows you that something can open up and it can take 6-7 years to unfold, which is how long Uranus will be in Taurus. And I want you all to think back to those periods, because there's a thread to those from those times here all the way in 2022. There's a part of your life that structurally has had to shift. It will continue to shift. And for me, I walked away from career in IT to do astrology. People thought I was absolutely nuts. But we all have to, again, be radically authentic to who we are. And that's what Uranus wants us to be radically authentic to who we are. So there is a tug this week. 2 areas of your life are feeling a friction. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you are stuck, how do you use this energy? 50% is you, to work with this, to get unstuck, to see what's in your own way. And quite honestly, what's in our own way is more often us. How are we getting in our own way? So we're having to sort of find the balance this week. Really see what's happening, today, tomorrow. Tomorrow's the exact square between Mars and Uranus, because it's really trying to open our eyes about something. It's really trying to awaken, or, maybe we need that spiritual 2x4. I don't know. Everybody's different. But whatever is happening this week is going to thread even into April, May, when we have the eclipses and in Taurus and Scorpio. Again, more conversation for another time. The other thing that's happening this week is Mercury makes something called a conjunction to Neptune. So we still have 3 planets left in Pisces. Mercury, which is on its way out, it just today made a conjunction to Jupiter. It's going to meet up with Neptune on March 23rd, Wednesday. And then it's out of the sign by the end of the week. It's into Aries on Sunday, March 27th. But Mercury is about analysis, processing information, communication, thinking, learning, movement. And when it meets up with Neptune, it means the 2 planets are actually merged. Neptune dissolves the boundaries between this world and the next world. So these 2 planets together, these are typical psychic medium, seers, mystics, people that are easily able to either connect to the other side or able to kind of capture inspiration. It can be incredibly artistic and musical. Funny enough, I have that, although not in Pisces. I have it in Sagittarius. I have the exact conjunction, which is why the psychic medium stuff comes into my astrology work. My dog, who actually turns 1 year old next week, he has an exact Mercury-Neptune conjunction. It's kind of funny how that all works out. But it's a week where it's like something, we have that friction between Mars and Uranus, but we have this other 2 planets, Mercury and Neptune, that's trying to show us something. And maybe our intuition's on point, maybe our dreams are really vivid, maybe there's a message that we need to hear that we haven't been able to hear, and maybe with Mercury and Neptune we're able to connect to something. But Uranus and Neptune, they're what are called evolutionary planets. They're trying to get us to grow and evolve personally and collectively by any means possible. But this energy, Mars is a personal planet, Mercury is a personal planet. So we're seeing this sort of transpersonal big stuff, evolutionary forces really come down into our personal lives. That's the thing, with the fact that we're in Aries season, Mars is really picking up on these energies of Uranus. It's going to really move things along. So that's why I'm saying really think about how you want to use this energy. And then we get to the end of this week, and as I said a few moments ago, Mercury, it finally says goodbye to Pisces, where it's been for a few weeks. We're starting to get out of that watery energy. It was a really heavy Pisces season. Even though I love Jupiter in Pisces, where it's been since December 28th, it's, it's a lot of Pisces, and I've got my South Node in Pisces. Anyway, Mercury goes into Aquarius. Now the thinking and the rational thought and the processing and information meets up with the energies of Aries. So it's about new beginnings. It's about thinking fast and quick, really inspirational thinking, but also we can be a bit impatient with our communications and our movements. Do not rush, because Mercury will eventually meet up with Uranus and Saturn. But that's a story for another time. So I'm thinking that once, especially after the Aries new moon on March 31st, again, I'm doing that new moon circle, more information on that at the end, things are going to start to move. So let's look at the astrology of the how this is affecting you in the 12 signs, and really picking up with the story that's been unfolding since 2018, 2019. So first we start with Aries. So happy birthday, Aries. The sun is back in your sign. So you sort of had that 4 weeks of really having to do Pisces, especially with Jupiter and Neptune also in Pisces. And it's been a time to really do the inner work and the existential questioning and the rest. But now you get your fire back, Aries. And for you, you're here to be that sign that lives the energy of leadership and new beginnings. And if you are an Aries, maybe your life is ready to rush forward. But like I said a few moments ago, you do have Mars, your planet, in Aquarius. This is a sign, or this is a sign that's really trying to get you to think about your future. Saturn is there, so it's a little bit more of a serious time. Planning, can't quite rush ahead as you normally would. You have to be a bit mature at the moment, Aries. But the push and pull that's been happening since 2018, 2019 has been happening in your money sign of Taurus. Over the past few years, you've either had to earn a living in different ways, more inventive ways, reinventing your sense of value and self-worth and sort of the things you want to invest time and money on. And for some, to really feel safe and stable and secure, because Taurus, especially as your money sign, it says that you need to really create material stability for yourself. You need to feel like life can actually hold you and give you that sense of fertility. But use this energy this week to really break out of old patterns, old ways of thinking, even value systems that limit you in some way. And I think on some level, Aries, it's a time for you to really know your worth and really see the push and pull either happening in a friendship or in an alliance or a group, and at the same time trying to open up a new way of valuing things. And like I said, even maybe making or earning a living. But Aries, with Mars in Aquarius over the next few weeks, you're starting to come to the end of a great journey. This is getting a little bit ahead of myself, but Mars will eventually go back into Aries. It's the end of May, but this is a time for you to really think ahead and sort of plot and plan the best you can. What do you want the next big chapter, or even the next 2 years, to look like? But like I said, you're gonna have a rendezvous with Saturn in the next week or so, and make sure you're really doing your due diligence, crossing your T's, dotting your I's, and really holding yourself accountable, because that's Saturn's job, is to hold you accountable. But that said, really use this energy as a breakthrough. If your birthday is around now, it's going to be a very interesting new year for you, and one that might take you in a different direction. Taurus, almost your birthday season. This is the time in your zodiac calendar. Aries is what's called your 12th sign, where you need to go within yourself. This is a time for you to rest, to prepare. Certainly, Taurus, we've maybe talked about this before. You're going to have eclipses in your sign starting at the end of April 30th. May 16th is a lunar eclipse. So Taurus, you're one of those signs that's at a crossroads this year. Scorpio is the other sign, yay. But this is a time, Taurus, when all the personal changes that have been brewing, whether under the scene or underneath or not, they're starting to come ahead. I mean, think of it like this: when something grows in the earth, there's a lot of activity that happens beneath the soil that you and I can't see, but at some point all that stuff starts to come above the surface. And maybe that's what 2022 is for you. A lot of the hard work and personal changes and reinventions and the push you've gotten, Taurus, to get out of your comfort zone. Maybe that's really taking root and hold in 2022. But that said, rest up. Mars is in your 10th. There we go. Mars is in your 10th. Sorry, sometimes it feels like I'm having to dance backwards. Mars is in your 10th right now. So this continues to be a time that's really focused on your professional life. And maybe where you have been seeing new beginnings, but also shifts and transitions, is in your professional life. So this may be a time about getting a new job, leaving a job, going in a new direction. But do keep in mind, because Saturn is in your 10th, this is a time for you to really answer some, that simple question that I've been proposing to you over the past year is, what do you want to be when you grow up, Taurus? So continue to push yourself higher. This certainly is a time when Saturn has been pushing you higher. Venus is also still in Aquarius, but do keep in mind that the push and pull since 2018, 2019 has been about you, Taurus, but also also your career. And maybe you've seen some career changes over the past couple of years. Gemini. So Aries season for you is your 11th sign. So it's the natural time in your personal calendar for you to reach out to friends and community, to connect with your allies, to have that sense of greater social connection, but also to think about the future. So where do you get motivated? Where do you get inspired? Gemini, you are a social sign. You are what's called an air sign. Air element is about, on some level, social connection, exchange. So this is a time for you to really connect and to socialize on a larger level. It's a time for you to look ahead towards the future, to plan, to envision where do you want things to go. So the push and the pull that has been happening over the past couple of years has been more existential for you, Gemini. You have Saturn over in what's called your 9th sign. And when Saturn's in the 9th, you have to really figure out what is your truth, what's your philosophy. It's almost like your life has to hang upon something. We all need that sense of, even though I don't like this word, moral compass, maybe there's a better word, like that sense of right and wrong that we all need to have inside of us. And it's really a time for you to think about, what do you stand for? What's your convictions? And what's your philosophy? But you've still got another year left on that. But then you have, Uranus is in your 12th. And there's sort of this needing to awaken to things that you haven't even were looking at maybe the past couple of years. It's sort of illuminating things that are typically in your blind spot, Gemini, including spirituality. You do have your Uranus in your sign of spirituality and the search for truth and meaning within, as well as surrendering and letting go. So as Aries season tries to point you towards the future, a lot of that future may be informed by a shift in what you believe in. And maybe, Gemini, you've lost faith. Maybe you've found faith again. Maybe the direction you thought you were going, even this time last year, is very different than what you're going now. But it's a little bit more of a internal shift, a shift in vision, than it is sort of a structural shift like it is for the other signs. But Gemini, I will say this time next year, Saturn arrives in your career sign. So you're gonna have to really start to figure out some bigger questions about career. But maybe as this sort of shift internally and shift in beliefs and shift in how you think, maybe you've been going back to school. Maybe that's another way in which that's been showing up. But nevertheless, Aries season for you means you're starting to round out your personal calendar, and again, to think towards the future and to make sure that you're connecting with your allies, your friends, and your community, and especially people that, not that you agree with, maybe there's a better way to put that, but people with whom you see eye to eye. Cancer. So Aries is a cardinal sign. You are a cardinal sign, Cancer. At least here in the Northern Hemisphere, when the sun arrives in Cancer, it's the start of summer. So when the sun goes into Aries, it goes into something called your 10th sign. So this is your time in your personal zodiac calendar to focus on your career. What's going on in your professional life? Do you need renewal, a new beginning? Aries is a sign that's actually really self-motivated and self-directed. Maybe you're the type of person that needs more leadership opportunities, or needs new freedom, or needs new motivation or direction, even courage and bravery in your professional life. But this is a new season for you, Cancer. And I will add, we've talked about this before, it's just been a heavier time for Cancer. And Cancer rising too. This is a bit of time has been about a lot of heavier emotional stuff. So maybe you need that punch of Aries season. But that said, the sun going into Aries does reflect back on the fact that both Mars and Saturn are in your 8th. So as you take that next big step up in your professional life, maybe two things are happening. There's a big talk about money, security, stability, trust, wealth, financial planning. Or maybe as you take that next step up in your professional life, you're having to confront your fears and insecurities about what either greater success or greater responsibility means to you. I mean, like I said, it's been a little bit of a heavy time for Cancer, but use this time well. Maybe you're having to really look at your finances during this time. I will say that when the Aries new moon, the beginning of April, is going to be a big new moon for you, Cancer. It's a time of new beginnings. But where that push and pull that's been happening since 2018, 2019, you have Uranus in your 11th. And so the push and the pull has been happening on like kind of this deeper emotional level, but also this sense of like, how you're seeing your future, the direction you're going into, even the sense of trust and connection with friends and community. You're not getting this push and pull in the same way as other signs are, but certainly you've been feeling this, and you've probably been feeling this in relationship, either your personal relationships, your intimate relationships, even friendships. But this idea of like, can I trust? Can I open up? Can I trust my partner? Can I trust my spouse? And how do you shift a lot of emotional material, Cancer, so that you can connect to people and even connect to the world on a much different level? Leo. So Leo, you're a fire sign. Aries is a fire sign. So this is a time when naturally you are looking out into the world. I will say that Aries is what's called your 9th sign. So you get that sense of renewal and new beginnings in the area that talks about education, travel. These more, not esoteric, but certainly not physical concepts of like, what do you believe in? What's your truth? That sense of, we take the energy of Aries and individuation, and you have to sort of stand up for something right now, Leo. You have to really show the world. I know that's a big word, the world. What do you stand for? What's your faith? What is your sense of right and wrong? But on a little bit more of a day-to-day level, this is a time for you to look at education, more specialized education or even higher education at this time, but you're really crafting a sense of truth and meaning, and really having to open up, and maybe even open up to a partner or somebody in your life about what you believe in. I talk about partnership because you've got a lot going on in your relationship sign. So whether you are in a committed relationship or not, Mars is over in Aquarius, and so is Saturn. So this is a time when you are really having to make priorities for other people or make priority for relationship. So whether, especially as you go into April, when Mars and Saturn meet up, this could be time of big personal relationship milestones for you, or maybe Mars is really stirring the pot with you and somebody else. But the push and pull for you, Leo, it's a big push and pull. You're a fixed sign, Leo, and Uranus is in your 10th of career, and so the push and pull that's been happening has been on 2 of the 4 corners of your life. Maybe your career does not look the same as it did a couple years ago, or maybe there was a big shift back in 2018, 2019 for you professionally. But this means that you have to connect with the world differently, connect with relationships differently. But this is a time when a lot of emotional buttons, especially this week, are getting pushed. And I say this because Mars is, making that square to Uranus this week. So it's like, can I open up to somebody? Can I trust? Can I talk about my deepest secrets with somebody? But that said, Leo, I've been saying this the past few years, you are in a time of personal and professional reinvention. And maybe as you go into Aries season, you're sort of starting to think ahead about, well, what is it that I believe in? What's my truth? And how is that going to inform when I go into Taurus season, what's going on in my professional life? Because those eclipses that are coming up, Leo, are going to be big for you. More on that later. Virgo. So Aries for you is what's called your 8th sign. So Aries is the 8th sign from Virgo. And that sense of renewal and new beginnings is happening in a place that is typically very private. The eighth is this space in our astrology where we have to go into the deepest parts of ourselves. It's our psyche, it's our intimacy, it's our vulnerability, it's our fears. And in this sort of mix of energies, that's where the real work happens. That's where growth and transformation happens. So I think Virgo sometimes is an undervalued sign. I actually think Virgo is an amazing sign because it has this great resiliency. It has Aries as the eighth sign. Virgo can go into spaces that other signs may find a little difficult to travel. The eighth, on some level, is our underworld. And with the energy of Mars, Virgo is able to go into the underworld, come back out, and through that find transformation. So this is a time when Virgo really finds its courage and bravery. And whether that's Aries season, and we have Mars over in Aquarius. So Mars in Aquarius means also that Saturn's over in Aquarius. So this is a time when Virgo has had to really focus on its health and wellness. Mars is there really pushing you to take a step up in your day-to-day life. So, this is the thing. There's a little bit of a mind-body thing going on with this this week's or this season's astrology. Meaning, like, how do you shift how you feel and sort of look at the emotional relationship to the physical body, and how maybe something physical is going on. It's actually trying to show you something on a non-physical emotional level. So there's that sort of push and pull, and of course you have the courage and bravery to go deep inside yourself. But the greater push and pull since 2018, 2019 has been about really shifting how you see yourself, how you see the world, opening up to new ways of thinking, new visions, new horizons, and really sometimes Virgo, getting out of your own way, because sometimes Virgo, especially with Taurus as your ninth, get a little stuck in your beliefs. So maybe that belief that you're stuck in is having an impact on your emotional and physical health. So really use the energy of this week to break out of any old limitation. Leo, let's see my doggy. Not Leo, sorry. I got distracted by my dog. Libra. So Libra. Aries is a cardinal sign. You are a cardinal sign. Libra aligns with the four directions. With Libra season, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the start of autumn. It's the autumn equinox. So equal day, equal night. We think of Libra as the scales, balance. It's no coincidence that Libra is the scales, because it's in Libra that we realize that we can't do life alone. We need partnership. We need relationship. And Aries, which is ironic because it's the sign of the individual and it's over in your sign of relationship. But it just reminds us, like, what really fires up Libra or Libra rising? It's connection with other people. So this is a time for Libra that is about relationships. So whether you are in a intimate partnership, a committed partnership, or just the important people of your life, the Aries season is saying it's time to renew our connection with people, and especially as you go up to that Aries new moon on March 31st, how do you use this energy? Do you renew a relationship? Do you meet somebody new? Do you clear out the old? There's a sense of, especially with Mars in Aquarius, think very clearly about who are your friends and who are not your friends. So with that said, you have Mars and Saturn over in Aquarius, which is your fifth sign. So this is a time on one level about romance. Romance, whether it's little romance or the romance of life, and really being in what makes you, you, Libra. And this is a time for you to take your talents and to take yourself seriously. And maybe that's showing up in a relationship, meaning you could be partnering with somebody, you could be connecting with somebody in a way to share your gifts and talents and abilities, but also maybe a little romance as well. But that, like I said, that push and pull that's been happening since 2018, 2019 for Libra, This is where Libra over the last few years has really needed to look at what's in the way. What's that inner saboteur doing? Where's the self-sabotage showing up? Because if you're going to take yourself and take your talent seriously, then you need to also look at why you've been either selling yourself short or sabotaging yourself. And Uranus has been trying to turn the lights on for you, meaning look at things that you wouldn't typically be looking at. But that said, have fun this Aries season. Be in the romance of life, be in the creativity of life, find find your spark and passion. But it is a cardinal season for you. It is a new chapter, a new season, and it's about things sort of going in a different direction. If you are in a serious relationship, just keep an eye on Uranus, because Uranus tries to shake things up, but it's my belief that it's trying to get you out of something that's not fitting anymore. I only say that if that's relevant. Maybe you have a relationship that fits you just fine. It just has to grow and evolve, just as we all need to grow and evolve at this time. Scorpio, you are a fixed sign, and even though Aries season for you, it's a cardinal sign, two different what are called modalities. Aries is ruled by Mars, and you are ruled by Mars, so it's extra Marsy at the moment, especially with the Scorpio moon today and yesterday. But Scorpio, you're so much at a crossroads right now. So many things are changing. So many things have to go in a different direction, and Mars is your planet. And Mars has been down in Aquarius since the beginning of March. And so this is a time when you are really focusing on home and family, your roots, your foundation. And on a bigger level, what matters? Meaning you need to get your needs met, Scorpio. You need to feel safe and secure. But this is the other annoying thing, Scorpio. You also have to be vulnerable, open up to people, and realize that you cannot control everything. So that's the thing, Scorpio. The push and the pull for you has been about relationship over the past few years. Maybe you've seen huge relationship changes since 2018, 2019. I've had plenty of Scorpio clients who were single for 10 years and then suddenly they're not. And that's the energy of Uranus at work. And it says whoever does come into your life is going to be very different than previous partners or relationships. But the push and pull for you, it's happening about relationship, it's happening about home, learning to open up to other people, learning to get your needs met, learning to not try to control so much. But that said, Aries season, Aries is your sixth sign. So this is a time for you to work typically, especially when Mars goes through this area. But I think Aries being Scorpio's sixth sign is a reminder how hard Scorpio will work. And Scorpio can be a little bit of a workaholic, but this is the season for you to focus on your human life, your work, your projects, your health, your wellness, making changes in your physical life, your diet, nutrition, renewing your connection to your physical life, because sometimes Scorpio can be in its head. But this Aries season is really trying to get you back to earth, but it's really pointing that energy back to home and family and emotions. And it's saying that whatever you're doing in your day-to-day human life, your heart better be in it, and it better support you, and it better nourish you. So that's sort of the demands of this time, but I think Uranus is trying to get you out of your own way right now. Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, the push and the pull that's been happening since 2018, 2019 has been happening around voice and communication. Well, that's when Saturn got there, 2020. But also your relationship with your day-to-day life, your physicality, your health, and your wellness. So this has been a time, Sag, where you've had to really see some big changes happen in your health and wellness, or your relationship with your body, or your relationship with your day-to-day life. Maybe work has drastically changed. Maybe you are working from home when you weren't working from home a few years ago. But that said, it's Aries season. Aries is a fire sign. You are a fire sign, Sag. So this is really opening up new beginnings and renewals in what's called your fifth. It's a time for you to get back to what makes you you, Sagittarius. It's time for you to get back to the spark and passion of life, to feel like you are getting a chance to create and to be yourself. Sounds fun. With Mars over in Aquarius, it's time for you to also connect to your voice. And voice is two things. It's both words, but it's also the energy behind this word. So it's a time for you to be heard, but for you to really truly be heard on a deeper level. So really think about maybe it could be a writing project, or maybe stuff that you're writing at the moment, or even speaking and communicating is sort of this link that's going on right now. But Saturn has been asking you to take your voice and also your choices seriously since 2020. Yeah, I think that's it for, oh, and then you also, with all those planets down in Pisces, as we were seeing earlier weeks ago, it has been about home and family and really kind of going into your nest, but things are going to kind of speed up, especially once Mercury gets into Aries on March 27th. Capricorn. So you are a cardinal sign, Capricorn. Your sun aligns with the start of winter, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. Aries is a cardinal sign. So Aries is your fourth sign. It talks about home and family, but it also talks about how you get your needs met and how you're supported. So this is a time for you to get back to basics, but more on an emotional and home level. That sense of renewal in the home environment. Maybe you are doing some spring cleaning. Maybe you are bringing in new energies into the home environment. Maybe you're thinking about making a move. With Mars over in what's called your second sign of Aquarius, you're thinking about money and finance. This could be purchasing a home, money connected to the home, making purchases for the home. This is a time for you to really think about stability and security in your home environment. And I will say, Capricorn, you do have Saturn over in your second sign as well. You're going to have April 4th, Mars and Saturn meet up. It's going to be a big alignment for you. But until then, this is sort of this bigger story that's been happening about you really looking at money and finance, and looking at stability and security, and even self-worth, and knowing exactly what you're worth, but the idea that your physical human life, your sort of security and stability, and your resource is well secured, at least as you get into the beginning of next year. But that push and pull that's been happening, has been happening about you really awakening to who you truly are, Capricorn, and maybe that's shifting some of your sense of value and the things that you spent money on and invested in before, you're not investing in as much anymore. So it's, like I said, time about home and family, especially after that Aries new moon on March 31st. Aquarius. So Aquarius, got so much going on in your sign right now, but Aries season for you is about your third sign. It's about voice and communications, how you think and listen and learn. And maybe right now you have a lot to say. I would say you're probably going to have more to say once Mercury shows up in the sign, but this is your season in your zodiac calendar to really focus on voice and learning and education, and also travel. And maybe you're planning a trip, whether a road trip or whether something that's farther afield. Of course, we'll see that more in April with the Libra full moon, but this is a time where typically there's a lot of movement, maybe even restless movement, and you've got places to go around town, you're talking to a lot of people, there's a lot of communication and back and forth. Mars is in your sign. So it's quite possible at this time, Aquarius, that you have a lot to say. Mars in our own sign is typically, we are very easy to say no. We're very easy to push back, stand up to people, stand up for ourselves, but also on another level, to have the courage and bravery to take action in our life. So maybe there's something that you've been waiting for the right moment, Aquarius, and maybe this is the moment, I don't know, but maybe you have a lot to say, and maybe some of that stuff has a little bit of a bite to it. So that said, Aquarius, you are in a time that is about new beginnings, a powerful, serious new beginnings. Saturn's been in your sign since December 2020, but Aquarius, you are a fixed sign, and that push and pull that's been happening over the past couple of years has been happening about home and the home environment and family. And maybe you've seen a lot of changes in your home environment over the last couple of years. So really see what's going on this week, and maybe you are saying things that you wouldn't typically say, or maybe even making choices that you wouldn't typically make. But this is about you really trying to step forward towards some bigger changes in your life, and maybe it's deeper emotional stuff that you wouldn't normally say right now. But it's a bit of a crossroads for you, Aquarius, and April, May is going to be a big month for you. More on that later. But a lot of you still have Mars and Venus in your sign, but this is a time when things are starting to move fast, and see how you feel after March 27th when Mercury arrives in Aries. Pisces. So happy belated birthday, Pisces. It's no longer your season. We now move on to the new astrological year. And Aries for you is what's called your second sign. So the sun has moved out of your sign and has moved into your second sign of Aries. So that sense of renewal and new beginning is concentrated on money, income, material stability, how you earn a living, and sort of these bigger questions of value and worth. So on a very nuts and bolts level, you're using this motivation, inspiration to focus on your material life, whether gathering the resources that you need at this time, looking at spending, making investments, but it is very much about the sort of the physical resources, food, shelter, money that we need in this world, and maybe not literally money for everybody, but that sense of this, like you need stuff. You need stuff in order to thrive as a human within reason, of course. But this is a time for you to focus on, like I said, those parts of your life. But Mars is over in your 12th. So there's it's about like letting go of something, maybe letting go of things that you thought were valuable that maybe in the eyes of where you are right now, they're not so valuable anymore. I mean, we've all been through a lot the past couple of years. Certainly the things that we thought were valuable 2 years ago are not so valuable now. Where are your shifting priorities? Or maybe it's about making sure that the things that you are investing time and money in actually align with some sort of deeper spiritual value. But Pisces, the push and pull that has been happening, certainly the awakening that's been happening over the past couple of years, has been about voice and how you think and how you listen and learn and communicate and share yourself. And maybe that has seen a radical shift over the past couple of years. But I've said this kind of week in and week out for you, Pisces. This time next year, March of 2023, Saturn's going to go into Pisces. It hasn't been in Pisces since 1994, 95. Maybe parts of 1996 if I'm looking at the calendar. But this is a time when it's about letting things go, because, sort of the visual that I have for Pisces right now, it's like you're surrounded by the past. You're surrounded by the boxes of the last 30 years. And it's like, what do you want to bring with you into this new life? And what do you not want to bring with you into this new life? So maybe this Aries season is sort of that sort of value system as you look through everything that you own, the stuff that, is this going to be valuable 2023 onward? Does something need to stay in the past? Do I need to get rid of it? Do I need to make space for the things that are actually going to create stability and security in my life? Maybe the choices that I need to make right now are radical choices, and maybe choices that help me break from the past. But this is, you're a mutable sign, Pisces. Typically, you're about going with the flow. But there is a sense of like some things are shifting and changing because you are literally preparing for a new life right now. It's the thing about Pisces at the moment. They've got one foot in a new life because Jupiter is already in Pisces. You feel like something is pulling you forward. But there is a tension of feeling like Saturn's still back in your 12th. You're still back in parts of the past in the old cycle. So this is where you're really seeing, again, the energies of renewal and new beginnings. But like I said, around your material life, it's like the things that you are gathering and sort of valuing in your life right now, they have to be part of a new value system, not something from the past, whether it's 2 years ago or even 30 years ago. So that is your look at the astrology of March 21st through 27th, 2022. Yeah, we are now in Aries season. We're sort of prepping for the Aries new moon next week. As I said, beginning of our time together, I'm going to be doing a virtual new moon circle, meaning that we can either gather online live, 8 p.m. on March 31st, the day before the new moon, to get in touch with these Aries energies, to do a guided meditation, and to plant the seed of renewal and new beginnings someplace in our life. I'd hopefully like to do that going forward. So the details, they will be on my website shortly, but they're in the show notes. Sign up for my newsletter. That's where I typically announce like the different events that I'm doing, the things, before anybody else knows about them. Also, the link to sign up for my newsletter is in the show notes. Of course, many of you are my clients. I deeply appreciate you. I love working with you. I love working with you to help you discover the blueprint of your chart and to really grow and transform. And some of you have seen some really amazing transformations in the last couple of years of working with you. So, like I said, I quit my job in 2019 to do this full time. Everybody thought it was crazy. But this is one of those weeks where we are checking in with a story that began back in 2018, 2019. And we have to have the courage and bravery to go forward into this new life. So with that in mind, have a wonderful week. We will all connect next week to talk, talk about that Aries new moon that's coming up. And in the meantime, have a great week and take care. Bye.